Hey up troops, it's A Littleton here again with another video, and this time we're going to be looking at Hibana. I always knew Hibana was really good, however with the changes that were brought in not so long ago, with the ability to change the X-Kairos pattern, she's become absolutely unreal. For someone who plays mainly support like me, the hard breacher situation at the minute is so good. Each of them have their own specialities and their own things that they're good at. Hibana, I would say, is probably the most overall best hard breacher because she can open walls, lines of sight, multiple castle barricades, multiple hatches, and loads of different stuff like that. So really, the key of getting good at Hibana is understanding where and when to use her pallets and how many pallets to use. So the focus of this video is mainly around that. There are a few little tips and tricks in there about cool things you can do with the pallets, but it's mainly about what and where to use them, if that makes sense. I think we've all heard enough waffling, me included. Let's get stuck into it. Okay, so let's get started with Hibana's loadout then. Hibana has access to the Type 89 assault rifle, the Supernova shotgun, the P229 and the Bearing 9 as secondary weapons, and then flash grenades and breaching charges as secondary gadgets. The Type 89 is one of the best feeling guns in the game and is probably in my top 5 favourite guns. It feels great. The main drawback is the capacity. It's got a really good damage and fire rate number, but the capacity is really low. It's one of those things that you just learn how to play with. When you know you're playing Hibana, you know you can't just spray and pray type thing. It's a bit like when you play Iana or Nomad with the ARX. You have such a good gun, but you have to just be aware that it's quite low capacity. The Supernova, from what I'm led to believe, is absolutely tripe. I've never ever used the Supernova on Hibana. Again, I'm crap with shotguns, so if it's your thing, enjoy yourself. I don't see any reason personally for taking the P229 over the Bearing. The Bearing is actually pretty good now. Again, it's got a decent capacity for a secondary there. It's a bit like an SMG11, but it's a little bit more wild. It's a little bit more difficult control. But I really like using the Bearing 9. I use it on Echo and I use it on Hibana when I play them. And then you've got your flashes and your breaching charges. Generally, for me, I would usually take flashes. I don't think there's many occasions where I would take a breaching charge on Hibana. You've got the flashes there for burning ADSs or well, obviously flashing if you need to. But yeah, for the Type 89, just to go into the details, you get access to the 1.5 and the flash hider. Obviously, you get access to the flash hider. I don't know why I made that sound like it was purely limited to the Type 89. But for me, I use the 1.5, the flash hider, the vert grip. It feels great. You just got to be aware of that capacity again. Bearing 9, again, flash hider. I use a laser on this one. This is really good on Hibana to swap to open barricades rather than using your main weapon. You can open a barricade with the Bearing 9 and then you can swap back to your main weapon just in case anyone's, close to the barricade quickly. Again, and I use flashes. So for me, Type 89, really good gun and really fun to use actually. Type 89, Bearing 9, flashes. So starting with Hibana's basics then, Hibana has the X-Kairos launcher, which fires X-Kairos pallets, and that can be used to make holes in reinforced walls, soft walls, hatches, floors, and all sorts of things. Now, the way that is implemented and the way that is used is you can see the 6 dots on my screen at the minute. This has been changed in the last sort of 12-18 months or so. Hibana could only ever fire 6 pallets at once. She's now been changed. So if you use your select fire button, for me that's B, don't ask me why, maybe it's that as default, but I have some really weird keybinds. And you can see there that the 6 pallets are changing into 4 and into 2 and then back to 6. Ignore the crosshair that's in the middle of the 6 pallets. That is not a pallet, that is just your crosshair. That's not like an additional 7th. So as you can see, you can flick between 4, 6 and 2, 6, 4, 2. There's different reasons why you'd want to use different amounts of pallets. So what we'll get into now is what sort of pattern of pallets you should use and where. So starting with the most basic use of Hibana's utility, and that is as a hard breacher to open reinforced walls, which we've got here on the left hand side. When it comes to firing it, you've just got to make sure you have the right pattern of X-Kairos in place. So at the minute you can see the 6 pallets that are going to come out of the X-Kairos launcher. If you use your change fire button, it'll change to 4, then change down to 2, and then back up to 6 again. Now, there's different reasons why you want to be using those different patterns, and we'll go through each scenario as we go through the video. Just one quick point of note, when it comes to firing the X-Kairos launcher, make sure you ADS with it so you get this indicator of where the pallets are going to go. Because of the spread of the pallet, this sort of crosshair image that you see here is never really accurate. If you go behind me where it's going to go further, you can see that's where the crosshair says, but then the laser says it's going to go there instead. So it's never completely accurate on just this. If you were this close to the wall, you'd probably be okay. But I would still want to just double check. Even from there, you can see that it's not entirely accurate. So what we're going to do with the X-Kairos launcher is aim it at the bottom of the wall and press your mouse button, your fire button. And then again, slightly higher up, leaving enough space so you're going to be able to make 2 adjoining holes. press the button there, your utility button again, and that'll start the timer, start burning the X-Kairos pallets. And as you can see, that makes a nice hole in the wall. We're going to have a little visit from Cade on the other side of there. He looks pleased, doesn't he? Smile. Miserable. Oh, hang on. Sorry, we've just figured that we haven't shot the radio. There we go. So yeah, that's as basic as it gets. It makes a hole in a reinforced wall like so. Now one thing and point of note, the reason I've left this side soft is I'm going to show you here as well. It's exactly the same on a soft wall. Not really why you'd be using a banner really, but just in case you were wondering, it's exactly the same time, it makes exactly the same pattern. There's no difference whether it's a reinforced wall or a soft wall, you can see there. A point of note whilst I'm on this as well, you can't vault through Hibana's 6 pallet hole. So if you make a hole this size with 6 pallets, you can't vault through it. You could, if it was on the floor like this one, you could prone through it. But you can't vault through Hibana's 6 pallet formation, if that's what you want to call it. Make sure you're aware of that. So when it comes to what pattern of X-Kairos to use, where and why, we've looked at what a 6 can do over on the main wall. Let's have a look at what a 4 and 2 can do. So we're going to use a 4 hole right just in the bottom corner here as a start. And then we'll start a 2 up in the top right-hand side of the wall. So when it comes to the 4 hole, you can prone through it. You can't crouch through it at the minute, obviously it's too low, but please note that I said at the minute, because we're going to show you something in a second. And 2 Hibana, two pallet holes are really, really good for making lines of sight. You can see there, CC window. You've got Caveira's scary face just the other side of there. It's really good. Depending on what elo you're in, it's a really good angle to hold this. And people hop through this window all the time throughout the round, so just to be able to open a sneaky angle here and hold it is really, really useful. Assuming this is reinforced, obviously. If not, you can just shoot through it anyway. Now, when it comes to, and this is never going to go well when I'm trying to record this, when it comes to making crouchable 4 pallet holes, it's possible, but it's difficult. What you want to do is you want to line up the top of your X-Kairos pallets with the top of this X in the wall, this sort of cross here. As you can see, the top of my pallets are bang in line with the top of that X, but it needs to be anywhere in the wall. Obviously, it doesn't need to be in the middle of the X, but it needs to be the top of the X. So use that as a reference. Going to open that up, and it can be tricky at times. You know, in the heat of battle, it's not always the easiest thing to do. But as you can see, you can make a crouch hole using 4 pallets. Again, just to show you, you need to be at the top of these crosses or X's, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter where in the wall you are, it doesn't have to be on the X, but use that as a guide. And that's where you want to be. So as we get into counters here, I'm just going to start by saying, look, Hibana isn't the best hard breacher for opening walls. Hibana is probably the best all-round hard breacher in terms of a utility, because she can do everything and she's got a lot of that utility. But she's not the best hard breacher for just opening a wall. So when it comes to playing this site here, depending on what your plan is, you might be better off bringing Thermite or Ace. But I'm going to show you what happens when you play against a bandit anyway. So I'm only going to use 2 pallets because I can give more examples and it's only going to give the same effect anyway. When it comes to bandit tricking Hibana, Bandit has the edge every time because he can deploy his battery on that wall so quickly compared to how long it takes our pallets to go off. And I can demonstrate that by the fact that I'm on my other PC with Bandit behind this wall. I'm going to start the X-Kairos like timer, and I'm going to have time to move to the other PC, put the battery down, and still stop the pallets going off. So I'll show you that now. So I've now just taken control of Bandit on the other side. The Bandit battery's going down, and we've managed to stop it from the other side. Take the Bandit battery back off. I'm even going to give him a bit of a head start here. I've just got it. Bandit battery's going down, and still you can Bandit trick. So Bandit is really, really strong against Hibana. Even, and I'm not going to go to the extent of showing the Cade example as well, but Cade does the same as well. If you throw a Cade Claw and you start a Hibana pallet activation at the same time, the Cade Claw activates before the Hibana pallets blow up. So it's really easy to get countered by Bandit especially. It's a little bit trickier for Cade. Cade has to be on the ball with his timings, but it is possible by both. You're really going to need someone to get the stuff off the wall for you, especially when you know you're being Bandit tricked. You can't out-trick a Bandit like you can with Ace and Thermite with a banner. When it comes to mute, things are slightly different. We can go up to the wall here and see that the wall's muted, as you can see in the bottom left corner. You've got that mute warning sign there. Remember the mute pattern now, I think I showed you on the mute guide, is only this area here. So whilst it's good for stopping a lot of things breach-wise, it's not great for stopping things in the top corner. If you do fire pallets onto a wall that's muted, they'll just look like this. However, once the mute jammer's gone, these will stay on the wall and then you can activate them. What you can do with mute is you can make bigger holes where the mute jammer isn't getting affected, isn't affecting the wall. You can make holes up here. What you can actually do on this is you can make a hole here, you can get on this rappel, and anyone that's playing rafters, you can hold from here. You can see mutes there already. But just a point of note, with the way that mute jammers work now, you can no longer get rid of the mute jammer from below as Hibana. Remember that mute jammers only used to go up? Well, now they go up and down. So if you fire this on the floor to get rid of the mute jammer, that's going to be muted from below as well. So there's no way you can do that yourself as Hibana. Obviously, you could come in and shoot it wherever the mute jammer is, somewhere here maybe. I'm not entirely sure. Somewhere there. I'm kind of like determined to find it now. There we go. There it is. And then now, the pallets that are above, that are still on the wall, that didn't go off last time because they were muted, we can now get the launcher back out, press the activate button, and they'll go off now as well, now the jammer's gone. Bang. So as a hard breacher, Hibana really comes into her own when it comes to opening hatches. She has that many different X-Kairos pallet formations that she can really open hatches well, and she's the best hard breacher to open hatches. We're going to start with the moto hatch though, just to show you the basics. We're going to shoot the jukebox. Sends me west, that thing. Right, so to open a hatch, you're going to need 4 pallets. You don't need 6 pallets, and 2 won't be enough. You're going to need 4 pallets. Fire them directly onto the hatch. Press the utility button again, and away it goes. That's going to open the reinforced hatch. And it's as simple as that. That's the hatch open. One thing I will show you, and I'll just nip upstairs to do this. If it's a soft hatch, you actually only need 2 pallets to open it. The 2 pallets on there. Wonder if we can beat it down. Race is on. No, we're not going to get there in time. And you'll see that the hatch is open. So only 2 pallets on a soft hatch. Now, this is where things get spicy. When the hatch is on a soft floor and it's electrified by Cade from below, what you can do is you can use 2 pallets to shoot at the side of the hatch, which will then explode from, which will, like, the explosion will pass through the floor and it'll destroy the Cade core that's on the other side. So let me show you what I mean by that. When it comes to kitchen, by the way, never stand here and start messing around with the hatch. You always want to be in the freezer so you don't get C4'd. You can still get the angle that you need to from here. Failing that, what you can also do is you can get on the rappel and be a lot safer here. The only thing from here is you've just got to watch people running out from stock door. Get upside down on the rappel here, and this is a much safer place to be. So you want to be putting 2 pallets next to the side of the hatch. Set that off. And if all goes well, this should destroy the Cade core underneath as well. As you can see there, X-Kairos pallets detonated twice and electro core destroyed. That's now free to put 4 pallets on the hatch. And that's the hatch open. Simple as that. Now what I would do, and this is a sort of a higher ELO tip here, depending on what ELO you play in. When it comes to opening this hatch, especially this hatch, with Hibana, I would put 2 pallets onto the hatch. Pretend this is the hatch. I would put 2 pallets onto the hatch and start the sort of, whatever you call this, activate the X-Kairos pallets. Because in higher elos, you're going to have people impact tricking the hatch. What they'll do is they'll make a hole in the floor here, and they'll impact trick through there. Pretend that's an impact grenade. They're going to impact trick through there and destroy the pallets that are on the hatch. So if you fire 4 pallets at once and they impact trick there, that's 4 pallets you've lost. They only have 2 impact nades, so there's a potential of 8 pallets you could lose by doing that. Bear in mind you only get 18 to start with. So what you should do, in my opinion, is once you've got rid of the Cade claw if need be, just fire the 2 pallets, start the activation, wait for them to impact this. Okay, now they've lost an impact grenade, but you've only lost 2 pallets. Start the process again, etc, etc. Eventually they're going to run out of impacts before you run out of X-Kairos pallets. Another really, really useful way of playing Hibana is actually clearing castle barricades and other sort of barricadable utility like a Zarmi. It only takes 2 Hibana pallets to destroy a castle barricade. And you can see how easy this is done from the safety of the roof here. You've got the red dots on the wall there, on the castle barricade, sorry. Now bear in mind with the banner as well, as you can see here, you don't have to place 2, activate, place 2, activate. You can place all 8 that you want to first before activating. And that's only cost me 8 Hibana pallets, 8 X-Kairos pallets, and all 4 of those castle barricades are gonzo. And there's many maps where castle does a strat like this, which can be really annoying, and it's a really dangerous place to play. You know, if you want to clear the castle barricade that's on gym window, you know, and even if you're trying to put a breaching charge on it, you risk majorly from big castle in the window here. couple of warning shots either side of him there. You're at risk from this window. So being able to do it from the safety of the roof is really, really, really useful, especially when it only costs 2 pallets to do it. Something that you really don't see used with Hibana is clearing utility from below when it comes to things like bulletproof shields that are on soft floors. So you can actually destroy that from below with Hibana. So let's have a look. We're in cache here. We've got the textbook shield here with smoke. We've pinged it. We know it's above us here. What we can do is change this to 2 pallets. Shoot the floor below. Start the X-Kairos burning. You can see where it's going to pop there. That's going to destroy the shield from below. Some observant people may notice I accidentally fired a couple of pallets there as I fat-fingered and tried to go on my drone. That's going to stay in. We're going to include that in the video. Anyway, my point is that you can destroy the shield from below if the floor is soft, and that goes for any utility. Obviously, if it's anything that you can shoot, if that was an ADS there, you'd come here and just shoot it from below the floor anyway. But if it's bulletproof utility, bulletproof cam, or whatever it's going to be from below, yeah, you can destroy it from below like that. Now, Hibana's main weakness as a hard breacher is purely the size of the holes that she can make into walls. However, there is a bit of a trick you can do, and it was sort of considered a glitch to begin with, but Ubisoft haven't taken it out, so I'm going to assume it's no longer a glitch. You've noticed I've brought the shotgun here, so we're going to pretend that I'm also sledge or buck, and we're going to sledge or buck out the left-hand side of this soft part of the wall on the outside of the wall. We're going to get rid of all of this. Obviously, this is much faster with sledge and buck. Just like so. Right, now what we're going to need to do is we're going to use 10 pallets, but it is going to make a thermite-sized hole. So, what you're going to need to do, the first set of 6 goes at the very top of the cross-section here in the middle. You're going to put the middle pallet at the very top of that, like so. You're then going to switch to 2 pallets, and you're going to go between the 6, right at the very bottom of the wall. And again on this side, between the 2 pallets on the right-hand side and right at the very bottom of the wall. Now, if we hadn't already shot this part of the wall out, it would the wall would turn soft, but this part of the soft wall on the outside would still be there, of course. So you're much better practice to shoot out this wall first or sledge out this wall first. When we set the pallets off, this should make a nice thermite-sized hole where we've already destroyed the wall, as you can see, just like that. With 10 pallets, you can take out the entirety of one side of the soft wall, which is about thermite sized. But again, if you hadn't shot out the soft wall already, the reinforcement would be gone, but the soft wall would still be in place. Now, you can't do this on your own. You're going to need Sledge, Buck, or someone else to remove this part of the soft wall to help you out. But it's something that's worth knowing if you've got someone on your team to do that. How useful is that just to be able to make a size of a hole that big with a banner? So we've just nipped onto Consulate to show you a tip about the hatch on here as well. This is something I included in a Astralis video a little while back. So, when you're attacking basements on this site, everyone gets so fixated on the garage door down there. People forget about the hatches. You've got the one that goes into kitchen behind the desk here, and then you've got the hatch in the bathroom that drops into sort of behind the white van area. You can, despite this being caded, you can actually open this anyway. So what you're going to need to do is put 4 pallets in the corner there, 4 pallets in the corner here. And despite the fact that that's caded, and this is one of my favourite things to do. Boom, that's the hatch gonzo. Now, not only do you get your nice angle onto security pipes, radio, etc., you can go all the way around here and catch defenders off guard a little bit because they don't think this angle is going to be in play. But from here, you can now see behind white van, you can see Cade's little stinky toes there. You can even hold the rotate from a little bit further back. The rotate's going to be here. Obviously, this is a dangerous place to be standing anyway. You're going to have a hell of a lot of confidence in the people who are keeping the drones on the flank for you. But defenders don't think this angle exists most of the time. However, you do that, what I just said there with the pallets, and you can now get an angle to behind white van and the rotate as well. Obviously, just be careful playing in this area. But yeah, regardless whether that's reinforced and caded, obviously if your hatch was just reinforced, you'd just put 4 pallets directly on the hatch. Can you shoot the radio from here? I'd really like it if you could, because I can hear the radio. You can't. Right, I'm even gonna... You know what? The video's not about radios, but I'm getting rid of it. So there he is, behind white van, that angle there, and it's really hard to play against. You're like, you didn't even know that was there. Like, how have I gotten shot from there? Really, really useful tip. Even when the hatch is caded, get it opened. So there we have it. That's Hibana. One of my favourite operators to play all time, especially with those changes that we mentioned earlier on. Fingers crossed this can help you. Enjoy it as much as I do. For those of you that don't know, I stream on Twitch 4 days a week from 8 PM UK time. I say this every time, but there's been a load of you that have gone over there and said hello. Any more of you from YouTube that want to come over and say hello, come and get involved. That wraps us up for Hibana, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.